Well, you've now set some intention and got some motivation in place. So that means it's time to move on to chapter 2, which is the role of fear on your journey. So, yeah, let us begin that one. Embarking on the journey to discover your gender identity might be one of the most important challenges you undertake during your lifetime. Understanding why it is so challenging can help it become more manageable, simpler, and less overwhelming. Fear. Why does it have to be there? We all hide, in other words, repress, as we psychotherapy types like to call it, essential parts of ourselves that we might have been taught to be ashamed and or afraid of. Our unconscious takes care of repressing these aspects for us, and it is actually really good at it. That's because our unconscious thinks its main job is to keep us from harm. When we were children, our unconscious helped us push down anything we believed to be too shameful or wrong about who we really were. We did this by tossing these thoughts, feelings, and memories into a heavily padlocked trunk that resides in our psyche. We then threw it into the deepest ocean we could find. We thought if we got rid of the trunk and everything in it, then somehow our lives would become easier and everyone would like and accept us. Here's the thing. The ocean that you threw that trunk into is your unconscious. This means the trunk and all of its contents have been with you all along. You may or may not remember creating this trunk of secrets. You may have begun the process of filling the trunk at a young age, or you may have been older. You might have just a few things in it, or it could be completely stuffed. Regardless of your story, it's very likely there's at least something in that trunk that needs to be looked at. It could be causing you anything from confusion and uncertainty to paralyzing fear and distress. The presence of fear means you're getting closer to discovering something about yourself. This is because we oftentimes fear the unknown, and it is unknown as to what you will dig out of your trunk of secrets. Calling out your fears. The trunk of secrets you will uncover through the use of this guidebook are the ones having to do with your gender identity. This doesn't mean other trunk secrets won't come spilling out during the process, but it's less overwhelming to focus on one at a time. In stage 2 reflection, you're going to look at when you first began to feel conflicted about your gender identity, what happened to you, what happened as you became more aware of this, and why you ended up having to put those thoughts and feelings into that trunk. For right now, let's reach into that trunk and nudge that secret just a little bit. Get out your pen and paper. Step 1, plan for self-care. Take a look at your self-care checklist from the beginning of the book. Find an activity to do before you begin to work on this exercise and an activity to do after you have finished this exercise. What will your pre-exercise self-care activity be? What will your post-exercise self-care activity be? The point of this is to train you to make self-care a regular part of your life. Working through the questions you have about your gender identity can be stressful at times, so it is important you're kind to yourself as you do so. And you'll see that I'm going to ask you to do this self-care exercise at the beginning of almost every chapter that we continue to go through. Okay, step 2, pre-exercise self-care. Put aside this guide and do your pre-exercise self-care activity. Return when you are finished. I will let you pause and start up when you're done that. Step 3, peering into the trunk. Take 1. Find someplace private where you won't be interrupted. You're going to start a dialogue with yourself. So choose a method that works best for you. Examples of this are journaling, visualization, drawing, meditation, doing this exercise while walking, or talking out loud. Imagine you are slowly open the lid of the trunk. Rummage around the trunk until you find anything having to do with your gender identity. Once you find one of those hidden gems, ask this part of yourself a question. What are you afraid of? It's possible you will come up completely blank when you ask yourself this. You also might feel overwhelmed with so many answers you don't know where to start. This is normal. You may not know what it is you are fearful of, but that doesn't mean that the fear isn't there. This is take 1 of the exercise, because just asking the question is a big step in and of itself. Before you move on to take 2, Read through these examples of fears that can come up during this process and see if any of them strike a familiar chord with you. What if I don't like/hate/am ashamed of what I learn about myself? What if my friends and family don't like what I discover about myself? What if I hurt my loved ones because of what I discover? What if I think it's true, but then it turns out I was wrong? What will the rest of society think of me? Will I be able to transition socially and or medically? What if I get physically harmed by someone who hates who I am? Who will I lose in my life if I do this? What if I lose my job over this? What if I don't pass? What if I'm not happy either way? Circle any of the statements that feel or sound familiar to you. Step 4, peering into the trunk. Take 2. Again, the question you're asking yourself is, what are you afraid of? Without censoring or judging yourself, write down what emerges. Be as specific or general as you want. This is your list. So then I leave blanks for 5 different fears. See down here? Obviously, that's just really a prompt for you to take as much space or as little space as you want to do this. And so I'm going to actually, again, let you pause so that you can do that, but I'm going to keep reading on in the chapter. Step 5, ranking your fear. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not very much and 10 being a whole lot, how much fear comes up for you when you think of each item on the list? So if you don't have the book, what you're going to want to do is next to each item, you can do that, right? Any number between 1 and 10. You can see visually what it is that I was looking for you to do. Ooh. Step 6, your overall fear level. Add up each number from step 5, where you ranked your fear, divide it by 5, or however many fears you ended up listing, and write down your average here. This number will give you a better idea as to how much fear you have overall going into this. Self-care reminder. What was the post-exercise self-care activity listed at the beginning of this chapter? It's time to set this guide aside and spend some time with your chosen activity. So that's the fear chapter. I know that went pretty fast, but it went fast for me to read it. But I've heard that that could be a chapter that people sometimes can spend weeks, even months on, or even putting the book aside and returning to later. So just to let you know, that's normal and that's okay. And so don't forget to really tend to self-care for yourself while you're doing this, and make sure you seek out support, either if you have a therapist or trusted friends that you can talk to either in person or online, because this is a very challenging part of this journey that you just heard about. So I'll be back again soon with chapter 3, feeling the fear and doing it anyway. Talk to you again soon.